this is how it works because people have no fucking clue what's going on. No fucking clue. So I just typed out, not if we act like adults instead of thoughtlessly repeating our master's narratives. Have yourself a listen.
America is done. This system is done. It's judgment time. And it's not a matter of what we can do about it.
Which is horse shit. Maybe I'll play the rest of the video in a minute. Here, I'll post that. I've rattled this off a bunch of times. Too many fucking times. The whole point is to not tear down the infrastructure that we have right now, which is what people are going to do when they riot and they lose their minds in the streets. The point is to reconstitute the Republic, which fell during the Civil War and was finalized in 1871 when the Organic Act was put in place, creating the District of Columbia, the bottom of the trilateral city-states. So back to point. To reconstitute the Republic, not to be confused with fascism, which is on par with democracy. There's no difference, really, except for varying degrees. Shades lighter than what's coming, but people aren't thinking for themselves, so they don't recognize these things for what they are. Yeah. So uproot our masters, abolish government. Don't tear down the fucking system that holds society together, because that doesn't make any sense, and why would you do that in the first place? It's illogical. There's going to be some collateral damage, some damage, period, but you don't riot and you don't tear shit apart. You pull up the weeds at the root and start over like adults. Again, reconstitute the Republic. And what else would we have to do? Can anybody fill this in? Can anybody answer that question? One of the things at the top of the fucking list would be to create a form of currency, hard currency, based on a gold or a standard or a silver standard, at bare minimum. And again, act like adults. We would put a new system in place, but we would be diligent. We would make sure all these snakes weren't running the fucking show. Which is what we should have been doing the entire time, but we were too busy being entertained. And too busy believing that people had our best interest in mind, even though everything else reflected quite the opposite. But again, people aren't thinking for themselves. So a hard currency, not to be confused with anything related to digital currency. Good people don't promote digital currency. Good people don't use digital currency. It's a fucking trap. And anyone with a brain in their head would know this because it's not only in the programming, our masters have been telling us this. You and I live fairly short lives. That's humans. I mean, under 100 years if you're lucky. I mean, if you come anywhere close to that mark is what I mean, if you're lucky. And in 100 years' time, our masters have been telling us this about digital currency the entire fucking time. It's not always dressed up as something that's sitting on the surface for superficial people to digest. But the message has been loud and clear, dating back to the 16th fucking century, for perspective's sake. But most people don't have an oar in the water. They don't know what the fuck's going on because they're not invested, they're not involved, they don't care. They're lazy. And so they repeat things like this. Here, I'll play the rest of the video and who knows, maybe it'll be flagged.
Is a matter of what side are we going to be on? The side of the system or under the protection and covering of the Most High? Mystery Babylon, America is going to be judged. Why? Because just like the Most High said in his word, Israelites are going to be in a land that you do not know for 400 years. And after those 400 years are up, I am going to judge that land. And in order for us to know which land he is talking about, we need to acknowledge who the Israelites are. Because the Israelites are still in that land the Most High is going to judge. So what should we be doing? Turning away from sin, obeying the Most High and his commandments. Because because then when judgment happens, we have the Most High's covering. You do know that when the plagues came upon Egypt, the Israelites were still in Egypt. They had a covering from the Most High. But now, even if you are an Israelite, if you're not obeying the Most High and his commandments, you will be judged right along with this system. America knows that her time is up. She's just counting on you to be ignorant about it. America is done. This system is done. It's judgment time. And it's not a matter of what we can do about it. It's a matter of...
The spooky thing is people who have bought into social engineering, people who have bought into social control, and in this case I'm referring to the many bastard religions that have been altered numerous times over, hence bastard religions. They want this Jesus crap to come back and scorch the earth because they don't understand what that means. They don't understand what a fiery baptism is and the return of Jesus. So they want shit like this because that leads up to that point. None of that shit's good if you like your life. I mean, the things that are worth fighting for, if you like any of that stuff, what these people want to... And when I say these people, I'm not talking about creeds and colors, in case you guys are a little confused out there, because some people like to jump the gun these days in 2023. I'm talking about anybody who's bought into bastard religions. And that's one slice of the fucking pie. There's a bunch of other versions of this. Because our masters are manipulating people across the board. But again, most people don't have a fucking clue what's going on, so they're not going to see it for what it is. Don't take my word for it. But if you looked into it, instead of buying into it, I'm making more sense than most people, and it would shock you if you considered it. I'm also sick and fucking tired of repeating this shit to an empty room when most people don't see these posts. Sometimes I'll dish up more details, sometimes I won't. I'm just trying to get through to all these thick heads out there. Or thick skulls, or however you want me to dress it up. Because shit like this, the junk that this gal's rattling off, it would unnerve you. If you were truly paying attention and you see, if you had foresight, is what I'm trying to say. If you had any foresight. This is playing into our master's agenda. Again, all this shit dates back to the 16th century, including all things digital. I shit you not. Our masters realized this back in the 16th century, approximately the beginning of the 16th century, that, you know, the Silicon Valley and all that crap, it was going to take a very long time. And this is when they started formulating, or at least ratcheting down, the grand plan. And it's been outlined numerous fucking times over. You hear pieces of it ceded to the public from Albert Pike, Bill Cooper. Remember, Bill Cooper was controlled opposition. Albert Pike was obviously part of the fucking club, the boys' clubs and what have you. And these are just two notable names that were in the public eye that told the public what's fucking coming. And no one did anything to stop it. The example I've been using lately is 2023, July. July 1st, FedNow, FEDNOW, was rolled out. No one did anything to stop it. And then WorldCoin was released on the 24th of the same month. And people bought into it. Literally. If we banded together and people knew what they were talking about, we could stop some of this shit. And we could maintain a semblance of humanity when our masters force people, by and large, to merge man with machine. That's part of what's coming, along with hive mind and a bunch of other really, really fucking spooky shit. But before all of that, there are some acts of greater magic, which are fucking blood sacrifices. And what this chick is catering to ushers that in. It'd make your head spin, but again, people aren't thinking for themselves, so they don't know how to dig up answers. They don't understand how to think for themselves to begin with. The questions they would ask you. I'm speaking from experience. It's